Listen, let's talk about Liverpool. Into the top four they go, live on talkSPORT last night. And it was really interesting. When we had Charlie Adam on the show yesterday, he was talking up this achievement of getting into the top four. Obviously, at that moment, they weren't in the top four and needed to win last night. Still need to get the job done, but it's looking increasingly likely that Liverpool will make the top four. And he was talking about what an incredible achievement it is. And kind of, we'll hear it a little bit later on, but kind of alluded to the fact that he felt it was up there with winning the Champions League for Liverpool.
Absolute rubbish. That's my opinion on it. I think they're a team, if they wouldn't have finished in the top four at the end of this season, it's no matter what injuries they've had, it would have been disastrous. It would have been an horrendous season for Liverpool. They've turned it around. Credit to Klopp. Credit to some of the players who should have been performing earlier on in the season, by the way, instead of feeling sorry for themselves, perhaps. But the way they've finished strong. The last 8 games, 20 points. Not brilliant, by the way, but good enough. When you consider teams like Leicester, 10 points the last 8 games. Spurs, 11 points last 8 games. West Ham, 13 points last 8 games. Everton, 12 points the last 8 games. Liverpool, 20. That's the difference. It's purely been the end of the season. It's a strong finish, but you'd expect it. It's Liverpool. Look at some of the players they've got in their team.
Do you know what? I think you're right, and there's a lot of reasons why you're right, and including the recent form. 7 wins in 9. They are top of the form table, Liverpool. So they have hit form at the right time. Others have really dipped, which has allowed them to reclaim a place in the top 4.
And that amazing goal from, come on, let's not forget about that. Goal, That's the moment of the season.
So far. Still time to go. Let's hear what Charlie Adam had to say, actually. He was with us on Drive in Glasgow yesterday.
It's going to be special because of different scenarios, like I say, Alisson getting that goal the other night and losing his father, and injuries to big players. Your captain's been out for 3 months. Van Dijk, the best centre-back in the world, is out for the whole season, basically. You know, Joe Gomez, who for me I think is a terrific centre-back. Trent Alexander's form's been not to the level what previously, been criticised for it, left at England squads. But that's the challenge you have when you're at top club.
And Jordan Henderson out as well.
Yeah, he's been out with a groin injury for 3 months, surgery, now just coming back. You know, will he make the Euro squad for England? It's a big choice for Gareth to make, and if Liverpool do this is just as good as winning the Champions League from where they were.
Jota as well. Jota came in and looked the part. He was in absolute fire. He got injured as well. So, no, it would be some story, I've got to say.
Some story, says Ali McCoy, just as good as winning the Champions League, said the former Liverpool midfielder Charlie Adam.
Just think about that, what they're saying there. Some story that Liverpool will finish top 4. Do you think we'd be having the same sympathy for Manchester City and Manchester United if they didn't make the top 4? If it went down to the last game like this, and where they've sneaked into it now. Brilliant they've been the last 5 weeks. Excellent, Liverpool. But that's what I expect from them, no matter what injuries they've got. It's Liverpool.
And actually, if you look at Christmas, they were 4 points clear at the top at Christmas, Liverpool. And since Christmas, their form, after Christmas, it dipped up until this recent form you're talking about. So they've drawn with West Brom at home, Newcastle away, Man United at home, Leeds away, Newcastle at home as well. And they lost to Southampton, Burnley, Brighton, Man City, Leicester, Everton, Fulham and Chelsea. So they had some inexplicable results, Liverpool, after being 4 points clear at Christmas. And now they've come back to form to salvage a top 4 place. So is it really up there with a Champions League win? I mean, some Liverpool fans might think it is. What about the fact that Charlie Adam brought into it the injuries they've had, which can't be denied? They have had injuries.
Yes.
And personal tragedies as well.
All clubs have had injuries. And personal tragedies, I'm sure there's been others up and down the Premier League. Some will be high profile, some won't be. I mean, Pep Guardiola, look, he lost his mum as well, didn't he, to COVID. So there's lots of things happen as a professional sportsman. When you get to that point, something would happen at every team. We've seen it. And for Alisson, I mean, it must have been heartbreaking. We saw that interview he did last week. But sometimes the best thing for an individual, everybody deals with it differently, Aid, is to play. I talk about the heartbreak I had when my granddad passed away when I was in night before the first Test match in Brisbane. I was torn what to do, you know what I mean? Then your dad tells you he'd like you to stay. I played the next day and I had an absolute howler. But I probably shouldn't have played, you know what I mean? I should have gone home. But you have to make that decision as a professional at that time, what you think's best for everyone involved. And you're going to have that if you're any person in any individual job. Sportsmen are probably highlighted more because if you're in a job where you probably worked in a city or a school teacher or whatever it is, you could probably just say, listen, something's happened, I'm going to take a week off work. You know what I mean? When you're a sport and you tend to be away or on the road and playing non-stop, some guys choose to play on. It's the best way to deal with it. It's difficult, but I can't go with that. I think every team would have had that up and down the country at some point. I just think he wasn't quite sure what was the best way to play centre-back instead of Van Dijk and Gomez. I think that obviously was a problem for him early season. Then Matip got injured as well. I think once he started to put Fabinho back into midfield, they kind of got some shape back. Thiago looked a lot better when he went in there. He seemed to settle quicker. Salah's been scoring goals throughout the season. Mane's still not, but Firmino's starting to score now as well, which you would expect from your centre forward.
The run of form has coincided with two centre backs playing at centre back, so you've got that absolutely.
And the two
bang
full
on.
backs playing like they did last season.
Probably because the two centre-backs are playing at centre-back. And if he'd done that, Klopp, when he should have done it, instead of moving Henderson back, instead of moving Fabinho back, and we were talking about, you've got two centre-halves, yes, they're young, and they signed one from Preston who's dropped off the face of the planet, so just play, you've got three centre-backs, it's not ideal, they're not first-choice centre-backs, but put them at centre-back, and that doesn't disrupt the rest of the team. It's finally come around to doing that, and they're hitting some form. Either way you look at it, I think the bottom line on this is you could look at it as an achievement. You can look at where they were. I think they were down to 8th at one point, Liverpool, not so long back. This was before the 7 wins in 9. They've won 7, drawn 2 of the last 9. Before that run, they were 8th in the table. And I think, they've climbed it, and others have slipped up, so they've done well to get back into the top 4. But overall, when they look back after the 38 games, this is not a successful season for Liverpool.
Not at all. I mean, they'll be absolutely relieved if they get through that final game and end up in the top 4. There'll be a lot of relief at Liverpool, but it will still be a disappointing season. What it will be, an excellent finish when others have fell off the face of the earth. I mean, even West Ham, who are delighted to be where they are, there'll be a little bit of disappointment there from, you heard David Moyes in his interview, he talked about, well, at one point I thought Champions League, but they're slipped with their form, getting 13 points from those last 8. Vital stage of the season. Everton, what happened to Everton? Spurs getting rid of their manager. What you think about Mourinho, the best chance you're getting in the top 4, when you look at it now, it's gone because you've given it a rookie to try and get you through the rest of the season and slipped up.
More on Spurs after 5, but Liverpool, how big an achievement is it if they do as we all expect they will on Sunday and seal a top 4 place? 08717223344.